Excellent. Thanks so much for joining today's session. So the topic for today is Dave.com helps people thrive between paychecks securely. So we'll get into a little bit more detail around Dave and kind of the offering and the product that really underpins the company. And today's guest is Chen Chu, who is EVP Engineering at Dave.com. And yeah, we're really excited to kind of launch into what I think will be a really interesting conversation covering kind of the specific technical details around how they've tackled some really unique challenges for their particular tech stack. And we'll also talk about kind of more the consumer facing aspects of what Dave does as a company and how they help their consumers. So with that, I'll kind of jump into the intro slide. So as I mentioned, Chen Chu is EVP Engineering at Dave.com and is also a fairly recent customer of Sumo Logic. So Chen, I'll turn it over to you and you can give a quick intro for yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to join this conference and then share our story about Dave and how do we work with Sumo Logic. And then, I joined Dave last year, and then when I joined, immediately I recognized that we need to invest heavily in our infrastructure, and then Sumo definitely is one of the tools that we want to leverage, and then so that we can have a very clear observability, and then also help our from a security point of view to strengthen our system. And then I'm really happy to be here and then share our experience.
Awesome. Yeah, that's all really good context, Chen. And I know we've heard kind of awesome feedback and insights from our team internally at Sumo that they've really enjoyed working with you and with the rest of the team as well. So I know you're kind of the larger spokesperson for the rest of the team as well at Dave that has been really great to work with. I know you had a couple of kind of context setting kind of factoids here. Was there anything you wanted to cover here to just kind of level set or more around the broader conversation around Dave?
Yes. So Dave.com, we are a fintech company, and then actually we've started roll our product in 2017, and then within 4 years we quickly grow from 3 people to almost 200 people, and then from 0 customer now we have almost 10 million customers. And very excitingly is that this year we also announced we are going through the IPO process. Okay, and then this actually is the number we show in the deck here is that we make a lot of huge milestone in last year. Our goal is to help our customer really create a financial opportunity so our customer can advance in their financial well-being. And then we start from the overdraft protection. You can think it as a help customer to bridge the gap when they need a small amount of cash amount, so that and then to avoid the overdraft fee that normal bank charge them. And then the product just take off. And then last year we also roll out side hustle that can help our customer to get additional income through side job. End of last year we also roll out a banking service. Within very short period of time, we have 1.2 million bank customer already. So company is going through this hyper growth, and we are very excited to be part of this journey. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really exciting to hear about kind of launching the IPO process. So that's a fantastic announcement. And I also want to call out here that Chen was very humble in the kind of preparation process for this conversation, because I had actually put an arrow here originally to point out that this, I think, is a really good indicator that Chen himself is a big part of kind of the growth trajectory and the goals for growing the engineering team at Dave. So just want to call out that he's very much a big part of that timeline as the company grows and evolves. So with the next slide, I'll just quickly cover just address what we're kind of cover today in a broader sense and kind of walk through the agenda for today. So we'll kind of kick things off with talking through some of just the background about Dave itself as a company and the product. And then we'll get into the architecture and some of the really unique technical challenges that we'll chat about what kind of makes their architecture different and how that uh, partially an aspect of how that brought them to Sumo as a solution, but also for some of their more interesting or additional interesting challenges that they want to address because of the unique aspects of their tech stack. And then I also think, it'll be interesting to cover, kind of how and why Dave decided specifically on Sumo Logic, as I touched on, because of some of those architectural decisions, it really kind of shaped some of that decision making, and I think there'll be some really good insights we can cover there. Thirdly, we'll just get into really quickly kind of the a little bit more of the specifics of the operation of how Sumo actually goes about utilizing Dave. And then we'll talk about kind of next steps, ongoing and future projects within Dave that Dave as a company is planning to utilize Sumo for, and we'll kind of end with some overall takeaways. So at the end, we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A. Feel free to chime in on the chat as well in the meantime. So I know this is kind of a big kind of big broader poll quote that Fast Company has for you guys, Chin. If you want to cover this one quickly, and then we can jump into the broader conversation.
Yeah, so I think in this market, right, especially those traditional big banks, they charge various kind of fee for customers, right? And especially when we did a survey and analysis, a lot of banking customers, they are paying over 300 to even 400 fees for those big banks, because the overcharge or bank maintenance fee and all add up. Actually, it's a really huge amount of expense, a burden for our customer. And then we really think this is the pain point that we want to solve. And then that's why we formed Dave.com, and then really kind of to disrupt the market. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I think for some folks on the call, they may be familiar with Dave. I know actually myself personally, I've received quite a few social media advertisements kind of giving me a little bit of context around what Dave does and what the overall mission is. So if you could give folks that are kind of new to Dave as a concept more from like a consumer lens, I think that would be a good backdrop.
Yeah. And then our mission is to create financial opportunity that advance America's collective potential, right? And then so, for example, we want to get paid up to 2 days early, build your own credit history, get up to 200 advance without paying fee. And then we have 10 million members and counting. And the company is, our goal is make it extremely easy and then really friendly, then customer can leverage our service in their daily life.
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, and then also is that, we also get a lot of good comment from various, for example, TechCrunch and the various media, right? And then they really like the service we provide. That's why we use a bear as our symbol, right? Is that we want to make it super friendly and easy for everyone to leverage our service, and then instead of those traditional big bank, and then with a lot of hidden fees.
Yeah, I think for me that really seems to resonate. When I think about kind of the core messaging of your product, it's so focused on kind of the overdraft fees, as it was called in the last quote, the insane bank charges that are coming from kind of more of a legacy product for consumers. So really seems like an awesome value add for folks that have kind of financial challenges or just have certain goals that they're trying to meet from a financial perspective.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, I think the last bullet, I think, is really what is going to capture people's attention right away. But I think all of this here, I think, is just going to be really good background as we kind of dive into the deeper details of today's conversation. So yeah, Chen, would love to hear from you kind of what your current tech stack is and maybe some of the motivations were for like kind of initially choosing them as well.
Yep, and then my philosophy is we always want to keep it simple, okay? And then we build up our whole system on top of GCP, okay? And then we use Node.js, so front end, back end is all TypeScript. And then we also use React and React Native for our mobile app. So, and then this is a mobile first company. everything is the user can do everything they want through the mobile app, and then the whole stack is backend service and API is all launched in GCP. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, we have a lot of customers that that are our GCP only shop for sure, but we also have many customers that it's more of a blended model, right? Where they are utilizing AWS and GCP or AWS alongside Azure, for example. So I think it's a really interesting and just hearing you describe it makes a lot of sense of kind of that focus on simplicity. It's really kind of compelling decision, and I think we'll see in the next few slides how that kind of pans out as well, and some of the things that are addressed through that. So yeah, with that, I think and we'll just kind of in parallel with the previous slide, we were kind of setting the background of saying, you know, what is it that, how is Dave built from the get-go, and what are the technical decisions underpinning that, and then kind of the sub bullets within that I think folks will be really curious about are what are some of the kind of challenges that you experienced, Chen, as a result of some of those decisions, or maybe even unforeseen challenges that have arisen from those from that architecture?
Yes. So number one is scalability. Is that because this is a consumer-based system, right? Is that so we all the end users generate huge amount of event, and then we want to capture all the API call, every user activity, etc. And then that generates a huge amount of event and log that we want to track. Okay, and that's number one. And second is that as an engineering team, we are going through this hyper growth and we move very, very fast. And how can we continue to push our product into the launch the new product into the system very, very quickly and then iterate easily? And then also through this process, how can we provide a very clear visibility for engineer, product manager, and designer to really understand the user behavior, and so that they can analyze that and then to iterate a product. And then the third is that from a security and infrastructure point of view, after all, this is a financial system, easily attract various kind of a hacker or fraud, etc., that try to attack the system. How can we have that very clear visibility and observability so that our security team, risk team, be able to monitor and then really take corresponding actions? Okay, and then so we are looking for is from the scalability of speed of a release and the security point of view. Those is a very classic challenge as a hyper-growth tech company.
Yeah, that's awesome context. I think it's really interesting kind of hearing about, and we'll kind of think more about kind of the fraud angle as well in the next couple of slides, just to tease that out. But I think the fact that you're dealing with so much financial data, and then combined with the fact that you have these really continuous release cycles, I think is almost kind of this unique storm, if you will, of events. And this is really an opportunity to kind of have that deeper visibility, as you mentioned. So that's awesome context there. So yeah, I mean, I think I had some conversations with Andrew, our account executive, on this, and I think folks in this conversation, I think are going to be really curious to hear, you know, kind of what your thought process was as you kind of decided on Sumo Logic as a monitoring platform for your set of use cases that you were looking to address. So yeah, I think if you can give people a little bit of context, and I know you kind of touched on it in the last bit, but I think maybe just dig a little deeper, and we can think more about kind of some of that. Yeah, the specificity of how you kind of thought about the right tool for the right job.
Yeah, so I think the number one reason is we need a very powerful tool that to create a visibility for our engineers. Okay, and then no matter Google or Amazon, right? Those cloud provider, they have a basic mechanism in place, but that is very, very bare bone. Okay, and then we need a much more dynamic, much more powerful tool that when we collect all those events as in the log, right? How can we easily do the analysis, monitoring, dashboard, report, etc. Those are the functionality we are looking for. And then I'm looking, and also on top of that, the solution need to be highly scalable so that the system can scale with our business. That's the main reason. And second is now we also look for the not only for the log solution, but we're also looking for the security related plugin, right? And then our security engineer definitely use various kind of tool to monitor the system and analyze the system. But we are looking for the logging the solution which have already have a special security related plugin on top of it, so that we can immediately leverage it and then dramatically reduce the learning cycle. Yeah. And then third is that, and actually I have been using Sumo through multiple companies. That's another big reason why I said, okay, I know Sumo inside out, and then I really love you guys' service, and that's the third reason. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome to hear. Definitely that you've been a repeat customer, and that you were really enjoying it in the past and able to put it to use in a new context. So yeah, I think that actually transitions us well into the next piece, which is kind of going that next level deeper. I think we're, just there we were kind of describing in a little bit broader strokes of how security engineers have been really able to, and application engineers, DevOps engineers, et cetera, have really been able to utilize the platform and get that broader sense from a monitoring perspective. So yeah, would love to hear from you kind of how you go about, I think especially with that GCP lens, right? How your team has kind of gone about so far spinning up the right data sources to be ingested into dashboards and really kind of be able to drive those insights a little bit faster. So I think that would be awesome context for folks here to hear more about.
Cool. So I put this into the 3-layer, right? Sorry, 2-layer. So the fundamental is the GCP itself, the GCP infrastructure itself. All this GCP related service generate huge amount of log and event. And then we use a Sumo Logic and then corresponding template to really convert all of this into easy understand dashboard and monitor, so we can monitor our infrastructure in a much more efficient way. Okay. Then the second part, on top of that is our application behavior, right? And then from application level, and there are 2 parts. One is all the user activity, all the application, no matter is or the system issue, etc. That's one part. And then the other part in the application level is the security. And then we also leverage a Sumo security module to plug in, and then to help us to understand all the potential threat, right? For example, through the dashboard and the monitor, we can easily understand, okay, there's a abnormal activity through, for example, the country that we don't have customer, right? And then that is one example that how we leverage it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really interesting example, and that's actually interestingly, yeah, it's highlighted here in this dashboard on the top left. You can actually see the geo mapping, so you could very quickly visually identify that, as your team likely has in some scenarios, and say, okay, we didn't anticipate to see traffic flowing or user signups, et cetera, in a certain region. So definitely great to hear about that you're able to kind of put that feature to use. So yeah, I mean, I think we've covered really well a little bit of kind of that story of, what brought you to, well, even taking a step back, what brought you to really having a need for a monitoring platform to begin with, and then kind of being able to double click and say, hey, how was Dave able to better utilize Sumo from a perspective of very specific use cases for GCP, or even you touched on, like React Native, for example, like being able to have that level of specificity and build dashboards around specific features within your product as well. So really, really interesting background, I think. So would love to hear from you how you're thinking about I guess, yeah, we've kind of talked about the past and the present. So I'm curious to hear more about kind of present going into future of where you're seeing things go next, not only for Dave from an overarching engineering perspective for your whole team, but also kind of where you're thinking about things specifically with kind of that monitoring and security mindset in mind as well. So really curious to hear what you have on that front.
Cool. Yeah. And then so first is that from our infrastructure point of view, we want to leverage based on what we learned, right? Through the information that we got from the Sumo and then all the analysis, we want to optimize our system infrastructure so that now with much better visibility and observability, and then we are with those information, we can do a much better design and then the planning for how are we going to push our system to the next level to support 2x or 10x of a customer. Okay, so that's from the infrastructure point of view. And on top of that is that we want to empower our engineer, right, in the team level, that everyone have a very clear visibility about what's going on in production, and then really develop a DevOps culture and then ownership. We build it, we run it, right? Every team need to be able to know exactly all the service, all the product they build in production, and then be able to monitor and operate 24/7. Okay, and then on top of that is that we want to expand our external monitoring. Is that it's a never-end battle, right? It's that fraud and attack and all of that. Is that we want to put and keep enhanced. And we build a dedicated security team and fraud team, and then with the tool like Sumo, we are building the dedicated layer to really fight against those kind of fraud and attack from outside. Yeah, and then so Sumo definitely play a big role in this roadmap.
Yeah, that's that. All three are really interesting by their on their own, and I think the DevOps piece really stands out to me because of the concept of kind of it really dovetails in with the whole rest of the engineering organization's efforts, right? Because it's like a service ownership that is really about empowering your engineering teams, which I think is really interesting to think about. It's kind of almost in parallel, right, with the concept of security also being kind of everyone's job, which I imagine would be true to an extent at Dave as well, where you get kind of that cross-functional ownership. And in the case of DevOps, it's being able to really sort of like, as I heard you describe it, really empower your engineering team to deliver products really efficiently. And on the third piece, I have kind of a follow-up question, actually. So on the fraud and financial crimes front, and that was something I was reading up on the Dave blog post around that topic. And I'm curious, do you envision it, or maybe this is still early days of being split out as a dedicated fraud team that is purely focused on that effort or staying ahead of those types of financial crimes, or do you envision that instead it would be sort of dovetailed in with the security team or more of a shared effort?
Yeah, so actually we definitely formed a dedicated what we call a risk management team, right? It's to focus on this how to handle all different kind of fraud and then financial crime, right? Or purely the attack, right? Because there are many levels, right? One is that just try to from the network level, right, or from the fake account point level, right? So, or the user account is true, but the transaction is fake, right? So they are all different level, and then we definitely need a dedicated team to really to laser focus on this area.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd imagine a lot of really, just a lot of very granular kind of anomaly detection that would need to go into that, and kind of that pattern matching or pattern identification. So it sounds like a lot of interesting work there to be done and probably in motion already. Excellent. So cool. So would love to hear from you, and I know I have my own set of takeaways that I'll keep to myself because I want to keep the focus on you, Chen. I think folks would be curious kind of how you're thinking about some of the takeaways as you kind of I know you've used Sumo Logic in the past as well at previous organizations, and so maybe you've carried forward some of those findings, or kind of what some of the takeaways are so far as you kind of progress through this set of solutions.
Yeah, so I think number one is that the goal for this kind of a platform or tool is that we want to create a visibility and observability. When you make it very easy for everyone to understand what's going on in production, then that will create an ownership, right? Because without that, if you don't make it easy to observe, to monitor, etc., then easily the production will only owned by the infra team or tech up team, right? And easily the rest organization is, okay, I cannot see it, I cannot access it, then you cannot really create that ownership. So find the right tool, right platform to make it very easy for everyone to know what's going on. It's very, very important because that really create ownership, okay? And then second is that really choose the platform, the platform and tool, and especially that with the scalability and performance, and then also with a really good service, right? I really want to shout out to the customer service team, and then for example, we got really good support from the very beginning, and then found engage with our team member and how to set up and how to leverage. And we even conduct the org-wise training to educate our engineer how to use Sumo Logic, right? And then that really make it, that kind of a high support we get from Sumo, make it much easier for the team to adopt it, okay? And then the third is that is, when you have when people really know to really dynamic be able to see all the information, okay, and then easily very transparent, and then also then the team will really start to, a lot of innovation will come out. How about this? How about that? Right? And then that really empower the team to move faster and then be able to respond to what's going on in the system, and then handle and help our customer. Yeah.
That's awesome, Chen. Yeah, those are really strong takeaways. So yeah, just want to thank you first, Chen, for having this conversation with us. We're really excited to have you as a customer, and also see how you continue to get more use out of the product and the platform. It's been really awesome having this conversation with you. Really appreciate you carving out time from your busy day and busy week to do this. So thanks so much to Chen, and thanks so much for everyone that's joined the session. I know there hopefully, or most likely, have been some chats that have flowed through the Q&A throughout the session, but I think we have a couple minutes here if folks have time as well. So thanks so much for everyone joining today's session, and we'll see you in the next session as well.
Thank you so much, Jason, and everyone. Thanks a lot.